Welcome to the Beyond the Fouls podcast. I'm Sarah Jenkins, and I'm here with Josh Eidem of the Fighting Fish. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
For a small town, we've got multiple players that have kind of hit the big leagues.
Yeah.
JP Fireeyes and Alex Call. While those guys are playing ball in other parts of the country, there's some really great baseball here in River Falls, and I'm excited to have you on to tell us all about it.
Yeah.
If you want to start by just telling us about...
Well, yeah, the Fighting Fish are town ball. That's what it's popularly called, amateur baseball. So the one thing that all of those guys have in common with those guys who are pros is it just takes a huge love of the game. So for those guys to get where they did, yep, there's a lot of talent there, but it's a ton of hard work, but you have to love the game to do it. So you have all these players who love the game of baseball growing up, and that's the way town ball has kept going is they don't have the talent of an Alex or a JP or, I'll speak for myself. Like, I don't have the talent nearly in this finger as those guys do, but there's just all these people that want to keep playing baseball at a high level and a competitive level. So that's really what amateur baseball is. And we have been really lucky in our town to have some really good town ball baseball players and have a lot of success so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the players?
Yeah, well, they all have day jobs, so you might see them, working at the grocery store or anywhere here in town. So that's always what's interesting about it. So there's a range of, we've got some guys joining the team that are 18 years old, and then you got some guys just about on their way out that are 43. So it's just such an interesting mix of players, and for the most part, everybody's played been a very good high school player, played college baseball, Division II, Division III. Over the years, we've had some Division I players too. I don't think there's anybody currently. Well, yeah, we do. Ty Denzer played at Kansas for a while. So I'm probably forgetting somebody. That's the hard part about naming names. Yeah. But
Sure.
Just a really fun group of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Josh, can you tell us, I don't know much about you. Tell me about you and what brought you to River Falls.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Rochester, came here for college at UWRF and stayed. Just got a teaching job close by and stayed here. And then because there's been ample place to play ball, and we started playing ball over in Spring Valley with the Spring Valley Hawks. So there was just no reason to leave. Everything here is wonderful. Can you think of a better town to live in? You probably hear it all the time. Oh yeah, you're a real estate agent, right? So I don't have to sell you on the town. But it's just such a great community, and what has sustained us here, the reason my wife and I decided to stay here is it's the community involvement. So running something like the Fighting Fish, is really easy in a community our size that supports all of the local businesses, all of the local endeavors of everybody.
So you mentioned you're a teacher.
Yeah, I'm a middle school assistant principal now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, right, which the players made fun of me mercilessly for because they were all running from their middle school assistant principals. So that's what I do in my day job.
Yep.
And then out here for baseball stuff and chasing my kids around. My kids are 12 and 11, so I mentioned on my way out, so I'm hoping last year was my last season as a player. There's just too many things that I'm starting to miss for my kids, and that didn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to miss a Wednesday night, 12-year-old game that I should be coaching to go play old man baseball, as my wife calls it.
Yep, I can understand that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about being involved?
Well, that's changed over the years, right? So for years as a player, you can't beat the camaraderie of a dugout, but just like you can't beat the camaraderie of a really good workplace of anywhere. So that has been a place for me where my best friendships have been, where you just have a place that you fit in with such a diverse group of people that come in from all walks of life. Now on the back end of it, as the guy who's just going to make sure the umpires get paid and the games go on. Seeing those kids, we have the kids run the bases every night, and the guys come out, win or lose, and line the bases, and the kids come around and give high fives, and And, you know, you would never expect like a 23, 24-year-old guy loses a game, and then the next thing you know, you see that same tough guy smiling and high-fiving, you know, a 6-year-old girl that's high-fiving around the bases. And it's just such a neat thing in the community that's unique. You know, there's lots of places that have town baseball where they're drawing people or whatever, but not where the players are so close to the community. Yeah. And that's the thing we want to make sure we sustain for the next 20 years, like we have for almost the last however many 15 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty special moment for those kids too. I mean,
it is. Yeah, it's neat. And now this will be the 10th season out at the ballpark. So, which was crazy. Bob Burrows pointed that out to me the other day, and I'm like, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So some of those kids, Eli Baker would be an example. You know, he hit a big home run for the Fish last year, and it was, you know, late in the game. I think it was a grand slam, and we're talking in the dugout after, and he's still smiling, right? And kind of everybody had left that night except for about 3 of us in the dugout, and Eli just didn't want to leave. And one of the last things he said was, he goes, I would have never thought when I was running these bases after a Fish game when I was 10 years old that I have the opportunity to do this. And it's just, I mean, and this is not your professional guy. So it's just this way for even Division III college kids to experience what feels somewhat like pro baseball, but without all the hard stuff, right? No one's following us around the grocery store and asking for our autograph. And obviously it's a different thing, but it's that little taste of this is pretty neat to play in front of people.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
You talked about running the bases after the game. Tell me, like, I know it's been a while since I've been to a Fighting Fish game.
Sure.
But what is someone going to experience when they go there?
So you're going to see your friends and your neighbors. That's what we talk about the most is that's the feel of the ballpark. And I always have to remind the guys in the dugout when they get self-conscious or they're down about something, like, no one's watching you. Like, they're just talking to the people next to you. They came here to see their friends with some good baseball in the background. Like, we're the background music. And I shouldn't, that sounds disparaging. There's a lot of people who are really into the game and watching it, but it's more of an atmosphere and a party and a way to connect with people from the community than it is, you know, keeping score. Like some of the things you see at professional games where people are keeping score with their little scorebook. This is a community gathering, and that's what we try to do every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So that's what you could expect. You know, it's good baseball too, you know, most nights. We've been fortunate enough to have just some really good teams in the ballpark. The ballpark supports that. It's not a hard place for guys to convince their buddies to come and play. So you'll have some nights where a team will come in and we might trounce them pretty good, and it's only exciting for a few innings, but we also have other nights where teams come in and kick our butts too. So you never know what you're going to get off the baseball side. You're going to get pretty good baseball, some fun times, but the big part is you're going to connect with a lot of people that are there or have the opportunity to.
Yep. It's wonderful. Fun night. And
well, what gets better than a cheap hot dog or piece of pizza and 80-degree weather, 75-degree weather, you know, after winter. And the other part about the Fish games that is neat, when we opened that place, we went back and forth about whether we should charge admission. And sometimes we have to. And, you know, there's this arguments about like, well, it brings value to it to do it. Whatever. Our community values getting together. That's what we knew. So the beauty of the Fish game is you're going to come down and you might have to be somewhere else by 9 o'clock, or you don't want to keep the kids out late. You didn't pay to get in. So I know when I go somewhere and I pay to get in, I feel like I have to stay. You know, my parents taught me, stay till the end, get your money's worth, right?
Yep.
But here, come down for 3-4 innings. You'll have a good time. You still get the kids to bed on time if you want. And that's another thing people can expect. Just, there's no admission. Come down for an inning. Come down for all 9 innings. We just love to see you for part of it, you know?
Oh, that's awesome. I guess I didn't even know that. So it's wonderful. First National Bank of River Falls. It's a gorgeous facility.
Yeah.
How's it compared to the other ballparks you play at?
Well, it's the best, clearly. Clearly.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that people, and that's the thing that we get farther away from having built it 10 years ago that people don't know, is it's all volunteer run. It was volunteer funded, volunteer operated. So sometimes it does, when you drive by and there's a bunch of people in the stands, it does look like, oh man, I wonder what the cost of a ticket to get in there is, or who's taking care of that field. Well, the guy taking care of that field is volunteer Randy Fireisen, who's, I just drove by today and I knew there was a rotten board out there. There's a new little board under the outfield fence. I'm like, I could see from the highway. Well, Randy must have got to work on that outfield fence, right? So we've had great support from the city, but I think also people assume it's like a city operated facility. So without speaking any negativity, because it's not a negative thing at all, but we get support from the city, but we don't get support from the city. Like, they don't take care of it. They don't, and again, not in a negative, but we have to take care of all of that as volunteers and make sure all of it operates. And I think that's the piece we've been far away from, that people don't necessarily see.
Yeah.
So if something gets broken out there, it's not somebody on a wage that's out there fixing it. It's one of us as volunteers.
Yeah.
In fact, tomorrow I got to run out to Chaska, because we got 4 outfield signs that need new signs. So I'll be getting up at 9 and driving out there, and you'll see my white truck parked out in the outfield. Who's that guy that drove on the field? And we're just putting up the new signs for the summer, right?
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible that it's all volunteer operated.
Yeah.
And I'm learning so much today.
Yeah.
The park is run by the River Falls Baseball Council. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about that? Yeah,
so there's about 15, somewhere around 15 people in that volunteer organization. So it's just a nonprofit. And kind of everybody's got their roles, from Kevin Westhouse, who does a lot of the broadcast stuff, and obviously that's where that started. So that River Falls Sports Channel.
Yeah.
We talk about all the stuff that Kevin has spearheaded and gotten all these folks involved. It's such a great asset. That's where that started, was out at the ballpark. Those were the first broadcasts he started doing, and then went, maybe we should just expand. It's so cool to think that's where that started. But
it is.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
And then so Kevin's a board member. He's got his piece, and kind of all your different levels of baseball. I don't want to start naming everybody on the board, because then we'll forget somebody again and be in trouble. But yeah, so it's a nonprofit, really plucky group of volunteers.
Awesome.
About 15 people.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Are there any special events that you have scheduled for this 2024 season? So
for the Fish, we are hosting the state finals this year. So let's hope we play well and make it. Otherwise, It'll be like a depressing weekend for all the players out there working at the finals. So we, in August, will host the regional playoffs, and then if we can make it through that, we'll end up playing the following weekend. Okay. So the state champion of amateur baseball will get crowned in River Falls in the middle of August.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty neat. But otherwise, I don't want to make it sound boring, but pretty standard season out there. Sure. Sponsors are getting lined up right now for all of our nights out there, and that's, I think that's a big piece. Pretty standard season, but we feel like that's a part of a volunteer board too, is you figure out what works, and then ride that out maybe a little bit. I don't know. Yeah. If people want to learn more about the Fish, maybe they want to be a sponsor. Yeah. How would they find that out? Well, so we multiple ways, but the easiest one, there's fishbaseball.org, and you can always just send us an email. It's contact@fishbaseball.org. And that's where we kind of, 2 separate organizations. The Fighting Fish is its own nonprofit. The Baseball Council handles thing, but like some of us are just on all of the different boards all at the same time. Sure. So we'll get you where you need to go. Okay. But yeah, we have some dates available in June, I think. Jess Curtis is the one that schedules those, and last I checked with her, there's 4 or 5 dates left looking for sponsors. So great place to just take your employees, get your name out there. Yeah. Pretty good thing. Fun night. Yeah. Too. Yeah. Right. Is there anything else that maybe we haven't touched on that you want to talk about? No, it's just town baseball is ridiculous. Like it's just a bunch of guys. So I think when you look at what is amateur baseball and what do we do? Because we get asked all the time, like, do you guys practice? Well, no. Does it look like I practice? Like I try to get in the gym. That's about it, right? So it's such a cast of characters. So when you think about, I've done this now for 25 years in the different teams. the cast of characters that I've had the opportunity to meet through town baseball, I could have never imagined. Just the goofy things that go on. But that's no different than the goofy stories from your bar league softball team or, you know, any group of people. Yeah. So there's certainly some personalities, so come down and meet them, and don't be afraid to introduce yourself after a game and ask for an autograph, and then when they start signing, just say, just kidding, and then take the ball back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, I gotta thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming down to
be absolutely. Happy to talk baseball anytime.
Yeah.
But we'll see you out at the field this summer.
Oh, most definitely. Thank you so much, and tune in next time for another episode of Beyond the Falls.